Hello, Derpnerd here with the first episode of Kerbal Space Combat, KSC. And here we have 3 unidentified vehicles that a local Kerbal reported. Now, this was reported a while ago, however, it took us a couple days to receive the information. They have moved slightly, these vehicles, over the past couple days, and they're headed straight towards KSC, the Space Center. Now, we don't know if they're hostile, friendly, but we're going to find out. So let's make a scout plane. Recon Scout. And we're going to give it lots of air intakes. It's kind of modeled after my single-staged orbit design that just uses RCS and a jet to get into orbit. But we don't need to go into orbit. They're only about 60 kilometers away. Couple air intakes. Light. Oh, looking good. Beautiful. Okay. Landing gear. Sweet. Are we set yet? Oh, we can put, yeah, lander legs on it. So the lander legs, I had an idea. What if I pointed straight up and then used parachutes? And I forget the parachutes initially. You'll notice I accidentally put my action group under stage. So, oh, tilting back, bad. Let's try and use a torque from the cockpit. Yeah, that's better. The cockpit torque. So it sounds funny because it's sped up. Why did that deploy? Why did that deploy? I don't have MacLeod on it. Okay, something is wrong. I put it in staging, that's why. I'm going to go through and swap it to the different custom action groups. And you can already notice no ASAS and no parachutes. And my center of mass is still off. Alright, so we can actually fly this one without crashing. And flying a little bit. Let's try and get over there. And having a little trouble controlling it. This is sped up to like 4 times speed. And then I hit 4,000 meters and everything goes downhill. Maybe it's because the turned on and off the light. No, maybe it's 5. Yeah, everything starts to go haywire now. And it's like, well, I don't have ASAS, so it's going to take me forever. And for some reason, I'm just having trouble controlling it. Only control surfaces I have are those 2 tail canards. So, put the parachutes on it, finally. Remember to do that. Put control surfaces. Make the center of lift match the center of mass, roughly. ASAS. Okay, that looks so much better. Let's go. Gear deploys fine, yay. A little glitch there. Speed it up. You'll notice, whenever I speed up the video, the jet engine sound changes. Light works at about 300 meters, that's good. Trying to figure out what these things are. You may have heard me slip earlier and I tell you what they were already. Hopefully not. Now I tried recording this once before and I got all the way through and I found out my narration was just absolutely, like, it was... Alright, perhaps I shouldn't do that so often, but we're getting a little close here. I was recording from the wrong mic. I was trying to use one of my other microphones, which did not exist. Well, at least it wasn't actually picking up anything. So, we're going to shut down our engine, try and glide a little bit. We don't want to wake them. I mean, here we'll shine this huge light in your eyes and shut down our jet so you can't hear us. Well, they're probably sleeping inside their vehicles or whatever. So, I mean, it is night after all. It poses a bit of a challenge for us and them, but I'd say it's more in our favor because we have the light. And they don't seem to have a light or anything. It's probably why they're stopped. I mean, if they had a light, we'd probably see it from here, right? Slowly coming in. We're slowing down a little too much. I better turn on the jet. Yeah, let's pick up a little more speed and glide past them. Okay, cut the throttle. Jet's still on, so it's providing a little thrust. Kilometer and a half. Kilometer away. Alright, lights on and everything. Shut down the engine. Awesome. Let's just glide past. Looks like there's a valley behind them. Oh, let's see. Well, definitely 3 vehicles of some type. We took some pictures, so we'll take that back to the Space Center ASAP. I throttle up, but there's no jet going, so let's dip down into this valley a little, help it shield our engine noise before we can turn around. Did I really need 3 air intakes? No. Did I want 3 air intakes? Oh yeah. I mean, I could probably do suborbital hops with this thing. If they had been, 600 kilometers away instead of 60. So now let's pick up some speed. Do a wide loop around them so that they don't really see or hear us. Hopefully, well, they might have heard us. But... Alright, and we shall use the magical powers of video acceleration and editors to get us back to Kerbal Space Center as soon as possible. And I can actually fly this thing alright with time warp. It doesn't look pretty, it jitters around a bit. Not perfect, but, whatever. I can throttle down and go, cruise with this, too. Could also go a lot higher, but I don't need to. It's not that far. So, get rid of time acceleration. Any second now, we'll drop back to 1x speed. Dip down. Alright. So we're coming back to the Space Center. Now I did forget a battery pack, but the turbojet does generate some electricity, and there's some storage in the cockpit, so I'm not too concerned. Luckily all the instruments in KSP run on gyros. Or, I don't know how the radar works without electricity, with the radar altimeter. But we have our both sets of gear down, and we're gonna land to the vehicle assembly building as soon as possible. Now, interesting note, there is the vehicle assembly building at KSC, Kerbal Space Center. There's also a vehicle assembly building at Kennedy Space Center, KSC. And it used to be called the vertical assembly building. Oh. Looked like we were going to hit that, didn't it? We came in a little too close. Well, anyway. But yeah, the Kennedy Space Center actually has a vehicle assembly building, which was renamed for Vertical Assembly Building. And that's where they build their rockets. However, I think Spaceplane Hangar is pretty unique to Kerbal Space Program. I mean, maybe SpaceX or something, or Virgin Galactic. So here are the pictures. Okay, we saw this. Yep, definitely some type of unidentified vehicle. One more photo. And our photography analysts have determined there are weapons on the side from the heat signatures, even though it's really hard to see in this photo. And they must be hostile. So we'll classify them as hostile tanks. Now they could be like armored cars or something, but no need to differentiate. They are hostile, and we must deal with them. Let's go into the Spaceplane Hangar. Now we have an extended range aircraft, which I call the Bomber, because it drops its drop tanks kind of like a bomber. It has drop tanks for extended range. It has a lot of fuel, but it wasn't designed for a military purpose. It was fun to mess around with. In one of my other saves, I flew to the Arctic with one. They're not getting back. Just saying that right out loud. It may be extended range, but it's not extra extended range. I still have some fuel, but not enough to get back, I don't think. This thing can go really fast, and it can go up to... It likes to pitch up, though. So that's actually an interesting thing. It has, so there are 4 sets of drop. 4 pairs that I drop. 3 of which are fuel canisters. They're the 4 fuel canisters on the front of the aircraft, and 2 on the wings. But once you drop those fuel canisters, you've reduced your mass by a lot. So I actually drop the outer engines because you no longer need them. And it's more efficient to fly with less mass. Big wingspan, not a very maneuverable aircraft. Kind of like a bomber. Imagine that. So this thing can get up to, I think in older versions of KSP, it could get up to 1,400 meters per second at high altitude. But it likes to pitch up because the center of thrust is below the center of mass. So it likes to pitch up. So we have landing gear lights, and they work alright. Floodlights would have been better, I guess. And we'll speed up to get over there. Now, the Kerbals didn't design this thing in mind with actually, bombing a specific target. So there's no bomb sight, and we're just going to have to do this by eye. And so, in tests, I flew one test flight before this, which they actually crash landed. That wasn't so great. But I dropped the bombs, and I figured out it's about 2 seconds per kilometer per 100 meters of drop, just roughly, at lower altitudes. I mean, gravity obviously accelerates at roughly 9.8 meters per second squared, and we're close enough to the ground that we can use it as a constant. And I'm not going to do fancy math to figure it out, but I did a couple bomb tests between 500 meters and 1,000 meters. And yeah, so we'll come at 200 meters per second. If we drop it at like 600 meters above or 300. All right, let's drop these bombs. Drop 2 of them just in case. Looks like it. Oh, gosh dang it. Gosh dang it. Garfunkel. I thought about doing an Immelman, but yeah, this thing's not maneuverable enough. That's where you pitch up until you're essentially on your back and then rotate over. So we're just going to do a wide arc. Now, if that didn't wake them up, I don't know. It may not have. But this most certainly will. I mean, we're flying in a jet. There are lights on them. Then there's bombs, fuel tanks exploding near them. I can't call them bombs because Kerbal Space Program doesn't have bombs. A lot of mods do. I know, mods. But I try and do this with either just MacJeb or all stock. I do use one other mod, but I'm not going to tell you about that yet. Okay, the other 2 are away, and I was overly cautious. That was close, but not close enough. So we have failed our mission, and we must return to base. Well, actually, I used 2 other mods. I use Hyper Edit. Okay, all the purists just want to kill me now. I've used it to place these vehicles, these enemy tanks, and I also use it to do other things, which I'm not going to talk about yet. But it has nothing to do with the good guys. The bad guys use Hyper Edit. That's why they're bad. So let's speed up and get back to the the Kerbal Space Center. Let's try and actually land this thing without crashing it. And you notice I actually use 4 times time warp, physics warp. So it works fine. I mean, this plane isn't great at flying. Just cut our thrust and it's dropping a little quick. Trying to find the runway. It's very hard to see at night. I think I finally see it. It would be really cool if more of the cockpits actually had interiors. Yeah, there's the runway. Because I kind of like flying from the interiors. The problem is with the Mark 1 cockpit, I think it is. Okay, there's the one cockpit that has 2 of the medium-sized ports on both ends. I like that one a lot because it has a low mass and a low drag, and I can stick a docking port right on the front. But there's no interior view, so I like to use the Mark 1 cockpit. But the Mark 1 cockpit doesn't have an attachment port on the front. I think they should take that cockpit, because it's so similar, and modify it slightly and put it into the other one. But that's just my opinion. So we have to tell everyone we failed, so we're going to have to taxi off the runway to prepare for whatever we may do next, so we don't have to end these guys' flight. There's our recon scout over there lighting up the vehicle assembly building for us. And the brakes are taking a while to disengage as usual. So I have SAS and the aerodynamic module. I don't know if one or the other's better. I mean, I actually found that SAS likes to flap the wings a lot less than the aerodynamic module, depending on what I'm flying. So maybe I should just take that right off and just put a nose cone there. So we're going to have to figure out what to build, and I think I have a solution. We are going to try an anti-tank missile. Now, it's a missile because it's guided. Okay, so you have a rocket and a missile. Now, ironically, a rocket in Kerbal Space... Okay, a rocket in a military sense is generally unguided. So it's solid fuel, whereas a missile can be a combination. A missile's a guided thing. So you might see videos of World War II aircraft just firing rockets. Yeah, those aren't guided. It's point and shoot. So, we're going to put a probe body in so we can guide it. And we're going to make a really simple missile. And it's not going to be an ICBM. An ICBM is intercontinental. Now, this thing just has to land on the same continent. So, it doesn't require much. So, we have that, the LV-909, And we're going to put a decoupler, and I think we're going to put a like a solid fuel rocket on it. And maybe some SAS. I don't remember. But you'll notice we have the nuclear generator on the tip. It's a nuclear warhead. No. Okay, so a nuclear warhead as opposed to a nuclear reactor. A nuclear reactor doesn't have enough uranium in it to go critical. Going critical is what happens when it explodes. Okay, so Chernobyl was not a nuclear explosion. It was a nuclear meltdown. And that means the core got super hot, melted, and the radiation was just insane. That's why people still can't live at Chernobyl, certain parts of it. Whereas a nuclear bomb has critical mass. And critical mass of uranium is something like a fist-size chunk of uranium. Yeah, I read too many books. But it's actually not that much. They actually, in World War II, when they made the first atomic bombs, they had no idea what critical mass was. So they just basically made as much uranium. And they use uranium-238, which is refined uranium, because, okay, solid stage is gone, still have a ways to go, but we can use our liquid. We have a lot of fuel on this. We don't have to worry too much about it. So yeah, we're pretty high. Let's get the end of our flight close to them, and we'll want to make it look like we overshoot, but we won't actually want to overshoot. I mean, because air resistance. So I've determined that in order to make a successful Kerbal Space Program video channel, you need to have an accent. I mean, you have Scott Manley, Enter Elysium, Hawk Gaming, Macy Dean. I can do impersonations of all of them. However, I'm not going to because I respect them. And yeah, they're all awesome. I love watching their videos. But I mean, I have an American accent. I don't think that counts. I probably have to be from the UK or the EU. Well, the British don't like to use euros, do they? Well, okay. From Europe in general. And there's also the Viking Space Program. That's quite the interesting. Yes, interesting. That's how I'll describe Viking Space Program. It is entertaining. All right, gonna drop down on them, and let's time warp a little bit. Falling, and it looks like we're going past them. Okay, what? Ah, dang. All right, let's try and fix this. I overshot them too much, and I actually reversed the direction in which I'm traveling. So let's try and correct this. Come on. This is just like random corrections. Let's burn this way. Burn this way. Yes, this is wonderful. It would have been easier if I would have just gotten something, suborbital, gotten it up there and killed all my velocity and just, use like MacLeod landing assistant. But I mean, this is more fun. Yep, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, upon further inspection, just some debris left. Awesome. That's what it looks like without the camera stuff. And thanks for watching. This has been Derp Nerd. And next time we're going to try and figure out where these things came from.